Hi, I'm Evi from Ballet Lovers blog. Today I'm talking to Valentino Zucchetti. You started your choreographic career at the age of 25.
No, actually, 16.
16, oh. And you already won some awards. Please tell us about your experience.
Well, we are very fortunate here at the Royal Ballet School. They have a very good program to support upcoming choreographers. So I started when I was 16 back in the Royal Ballet School. We have like a little choreographic competition every year, and I just thought I would have a go. They're very encouraging, for you to have a go, and they give you dancers, they give you time, and they give you the opportunity to choreograph. And I've entered this little school competition, and I won it.
Wow.
Completely surprised. Like I had no
Congratulations.
idea. I had no idea I could choreograph. I've entered this little school competition, and I won it.
Wow.
Completely surprised. Like I had no
Congratulations.
idea. I had no idea I could choreograph. I've been like what's the terminology in ballet, a bunhead for a long time, and I had no idea that I could choreograph really. So that sort of win gave me the confidence to say, okay, well, there's something there. Then in school, I started choreographing little variations for competitions and little pas de deux for some of my friends, and then I went to Zurich and Oslo, and my choreographic experience sort of stopped a bit because there weren't opportunities to choreograph. They didn't really have choreographic workshops in the ballet company at the time.
Can you learn the art of choreography?
I think you need to have an intuition.
Yeah.
I don't think you can learn choreography if you don't have it intuitively in you. It can be if you're trying so hard to choreograph and you're not a choreographer, it can be a very, very hard process, and it can be very not very fruitful. It's almost like there has to be like a natural inclination, whether it's like a responsive music or just like you're creating out of your own movement. Like there has to be like a natural predisposition for it. But you can only find out whether you have it or not by trying. I think.
And learning a little bit.
Well, you learn by trying.
Okay.
Like even in school, they didn't teach us to choreograph. They give you guidelines, but it's more about they giving you the space, and sometimes they give you a commission. Whatever you can say, it can't be longer than 5 minutes. And for example, sometimes they have subject. It can be like it has to be about elements. So you can make a choreography about water, fire, air, and it's a very broad brush, sort of guidelines, and then you just create, and and I think it's almost like if you want to choreograph, it's naturally you will be naturally interested in it, or even if you're not confident, but at least you know that, oh, I want to make something. That there has to be almost like a natural desire.
Desire and urge.
If you're not a choreographer and they keep pushing you to be a choreographer, you'll never succeed.
Okay.
Because it doesn't work like that. Not everybody can be a choreographer.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to be a choreographer.
Yeah.
So in my case, I just always knew there was something there. The seed of interest was when my friend was preparing for this choreographic competition, and she's asked me, "Oh, could you come and have a look at my choreo and tell me what you think?" And when I went to see her choreo, I saw so many mistakes, and I was like, "Well, that doesn't work. The music and the choreography doesn't work together." And I was like, "Well, obviously, if I know there is something wrong there, then I'll just try and make my own." That was kind of the very, very first seed. And then I started to make this on my own, and then once I won, I was like, "Oh, okay, then." I needed other people to let me know that there was something there. But then, so I started in school when I was 16, and I've had these sort of 3 years away where I didn't choreograph very much. But then when I came back to the Royal Ballet Company, we have a annual choreographic workshop that's called Royal Ballet Draftworks. And it's either on our second stage or on our third stage, which is called the floor studio upstairs. So every year I had the opportunity to make a piece, and this piece would be open to the audience, and people would come and watch, and then they will commission you stuff. That's kind of how I started. My very, very first choreography here was a pas de trois, which I made for my friends, and it was very well received. and that ended up being performed by the Royal Ballet School on the Royal Opera House stage.
Oh, wow, wow.
2 years after that.
That was a huge success then.
That was like at the beginning. So again, it's one of those things you need a space, you need a time and dancers. You just have to make things, and then things will slowly unravel. So throughout these years, like for the past 8 years, I've been obviously choreographing regularly for the workshop here.
Actually, every year you did it?
Every year.
Wow.
For the past 2011 was my first one. So it's the past 8 years now. I've done my latest one was in October. I do the choreographic workshop here, and I very much use the workshop as like a personal assignment. So I try not every year I would make the same things or the same styles. So every year I would challenge myself. Some year I would use a big group, some year I would be very classical. Another year was all men choreography. This year was my first year that I made like a pas de deux with 2 girls, which I've never done before.
I saw that that was shown at the World Ballet Day. That was awesome. I loved it so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. That was sort of, and again, it was the first time I choreographed for 2 girls, and it was one of the first times that I've explored slightly different style. I've always been quite classical or neoclassical choreography, and I've started to explore different language, and also in these past few years, I've choreographed for this, and I've been approached by a small ballet company that I choreograph for regularly, which is called New English Ballet Theatre here in London. It's a seasonal...
What's the name?
New English Ballet Theatre.
Okay.
It's a seasonal company that opens for like 4 or 5 months a year, and they perform around England. I've choreographed for them, and I'm actually an associate choreographer with that company.
Wow.
The thing is that I'm doing this all on my free time, because obviously I'm a very busy full-time member of the company here at the Royal Ballet, so I don't have a huge amount of time to choreograph, and this is why I find it really hard to choreograph abroad, because I would have to take time off, and at the moment I can't quite do that. So I've been choreographing for the workshops here. I'm choreograph regularly for this ballet company, and then the past 3 years I've started to choreograph for films. Again, I've been approached by people and
for dance films.
Dance films. I started off with short films, and they're dance short films which are then presented to film festivals around the world, and in the past they've been very well received. And again, so this is another thing, like I've never really thought about choreographing for films or movies before, and then when I started I realized, well, actually there is something there. People like it, people appreciate it. At the moment they've been quite close, because the way it works with these movies is that you make them and then you have the festival cycle, which can take a year. Yeah. So a movie, these short films gets presented in every film festival possibly imaginable. And sometimes we get rewarded, sometimes we get audience awards, or...
You just got an award.
Recently we had the Utah Dance Festival, we won Best Choreography and Best Cinematography.
For the piece, say it again.
This was our second movie, was called The Sun is God, which was... this trilogy of movies that we've done was about artists. So the first movie that we did was about Monet, and we shot it at the Monet Gardens.
Oh, wow.
Outside of Paris. The second movie, The Sun is God, was about J.W. Turner, which is the British painter. Yeah. We shot it at Petworth House, which is where most of his paintings are shown. This beautiful palace, about an hour from London. And the theme of that was the First World War. Oh. That's why when it was presented last year as part of the 100 years since the end of the First World War. And this new one, which we've recently finished, and it will start the cycle again. It's about Rodin, the sculpture, French sculpture, but more importantly, it's about Camille Claudel, which was Rodin's lover and sort of famous sculptor in her own right, and not really valued at the time. So we kind of that's kind of the premises.
And now, when you're talking about me, who is involved?
We have a small team, so it's me, I'm the choreographer. There is this photographer, the director, she's called Alice Pennyfather. Mm-hmm. And then we have various producers depending on the movie. And I think not many people have been able to see these movies because they are in this festival cycle. We are shortly we're going to bundle them together and make, hopefully make a DVD or make like a way for the people to see them, because a lot of people keep asking me about these movies, because I regularly receive prizes or mentions about these movies by film festivals or film critics, but not many people have seen them yet.
Yeah, I try to find it, your new one.
Yeah, it's impossible. So we are still working on what's the best way to release them to the audience. Yeah. But soon they will be released all three together.
Wow! Yeah.
As like as a bundle, and hopefully a lot of people.
Okay.